Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Knowledge Central. And this video is about the continuation of the the first part where I talk about how to have an effective communication or what are the key ingredients and three important ingredients of effective communication, which we should keep in mind. So in this video, I'm just gonna continue with the second part where we also talk about the roadmap and how to actually go about doing it. And especially about the third part. But in the beginning, I'm going to give a very quick context of what we talked about in the previous video in the first part and the three important ingredients. And it starts with, again, why the audience should care. Like, why should they listen to you? And what kind of makes them tick? What makes them, listen to you, spend time with you? And that's very important. Second thing is the speaker itself and make sure that you're unique. And of course, shouldn't do something which can be replicated by anyone else and something which creates value. And of course, also keep in mind why, as a presenter, you care and what makes you tick. Those are the two ingredients. The third one is the one where we stopped the previous video, where it's just not about informing anymore. It's about how to make a transformation in your listeners, in your audience, in the person you're talking to. And in this video, we're going to focus a little more on this transformational part where it really kind of dives into how to make the impact, the kind of, you'll touch person's heart, or how to make, the transformation instead of just informing, right? So it's just not about, telling them, okay, this is it. But if you want to make them remember, if you want to make an, actual value change, that means you should have a transformational content. So yeah. So very important thing is to keep in mind, of course, to make this transformation, the first step, very important step, is to have a very quick understanding of the before and after, especially of what they know, what they believe in, how do they feel about it, and what are they going to do about it, right? So these are the key pillars which the entire roadmap is kind of dependent on. And let's quickly dive into the roadmap and how to actually make the transformation is via a small grid where I kind of just plotted it. It can be a very simple, 4x4 grid, where you have basically what they know, believe, feel, and do, and try to analyze before and after. This actually gets really interesting if I take an example, and we can just take an example of this video in itself, right? So usually there's a before scenario where you kind of jot down what the audience knows, what they believe in, what they feel about it, what they do, and then slowly try to push, like, what do you want them to know after your presentation, after you talk to them, or after you communicate it, right? So what do you want them to do, right? And then how do you want them to feel? And then what do you want them to believe in? And then what they know at the end of the presentation. Let's little bit dive with this very specific example. And I'm using my cursor here to navigate through the slide because it has a lot of cells with some content in it. And I just thought it'd be nice if I take an example and make sure that you have a more transformational content, right? So first, let's start with what do the audience know, right? For example, let's assume most talks are not informative enough, right? Except this video. Let's say most talks are actually not transformational. The second, what they believe in is presentation means information, right? Again, it's a very simple example. The third, how they feel about any presentation. If you just give information like bullet points, they feel it's boring and they feel little resigned and they feel little, few people are going to start yawning and few people are going to take some snacks, few people are going to move away if it's not interesting. And finally, what do? You aim to inform and fail to personalize it. So this is something which can be literally transformed. So if you remember the U-shaped graph, so you go from before, especially what they know, believe, feel, and do, to what are you going to do? Make them feel, make them believe, make them know, to create this transformation. That's it. So coming back to the example, starting with the bottommost cell here. So what do you want to do? Instead of informing, my aim is going to transform you guys. How do you transform the audience? Second, you need to make them curious, motivated, optimistic about it. What's the value, how they can change his life, kind of show them a mental picture of if you do this thing in an interview, you can get an amazing job, or if you do this in a sales pitch, you're going to get some amazing clients, etc., etc. So make them curious, make them think, make them more motivated and optimistic. And that's the reason we had this whole roadmap. So make them understand how it works, make them believe that it's going to have an impact, and then come up with the 3 magic ingredients. It was the part of the first initial few seconds, which I talked about, right? Why do the audience care? Why do the speaker care? How to make transformation content? These 3 are the magic ingredients, and that's it. So if you just try to keep these 3 in mind, then try to, at least if you're going to present something, if you're going to have a sales pitch, if you're going for a job interview, I don't know, you name it, because everywhere we need to communicate, and we are as much as we communicate, right? So that's kind of, it's going to transform. And again, it's much more easier than said, but if you slowly practice this, it's going to come up even in small discussion and conversation, especially when you have time to prepare. I would come back to this roadmap, try to put the ingredients and see what comes out of it. So I think with that, I want to keep this video short, and that's about the roadmap and how to make a transformational pitch, transformational communication. So I feel it was quite informative and short. Please let me know if otherwise, and please let me know in comments that you want to talk about something else, or if there's something which might be missing, or if you want to add something, of course, feel free to go ahead. And as usual, thanks for your time. And I'll see you guys definitely soon in another video about a lot of interesting pitches coming up. So stay tuned and have a great day ahead.